Welcome to Property Technical's Location series. In this series, we visit various places of architectural or cultural significance, and we shall admire them for what they are. So join me in my travels as I go and visit various location. Today we are at Entrance, and it's a unique sort of a place with unique set of things to see and experience. And behind me is this gorgeous beach where summer comes to celebration. It's another Sunday and a beautiful, gorgeous day to be coming to the beach. And this street that I'm walking on, it in itself is a beautiful walk along the waters, as we can see on this side. Also, one of the things that I find very nice about this place is that they have a lot of these Norfolk Island pines. Some of them are quite large. I'd imagine it would have taken many decades to get that big. Also with the backdrop of the shallow waters, which gives it the color that you see on the water, and it's not deep at all, so that people can just walk right into it and do fishing and things like that. And far on the other side we can see the waves breaking, and that's where the actual ocean sort of begins. So this is the shallow end, and that would be a little bit deeper. So how do we get here? Well, it's about an hour and a half away from the Sydney city, and we have to get onto the motorway to get here. I believe there are public transportations available as well. Now, to search for this place, you type Pelican Feeding. Yes, Pelican Feeding. This place is more renowned for pelican feeding than the place itself. Don't get me wrong, this is a very festive, happening place as well, and beautiful, rich with natural beauty, of course. However, pelican feeding is, I think, one of the crucial reasons why this place became like the way it is today. And there's a story behind this, which I'm going to tell you. Well, I'm not entirely sure how long ago it started. Some say 15 years, some say more than that. But about that amount of time, nearly 2 decades ago, there is a fish and chips shop here. And before closing, they would start cleaning up and things like that, as fish and chips shop do. And the offcuts of fish parts and things like that, instead of throwing it in the garbage, they would feed it to the local pelicans. And they would do that at about 3:30-ish. Now, birds being amazing creatures, they were very punctual. They would show up at that exact time. Lots of them. And it sort of became a thing to see, that exactly at that time, this very place, the pavilion that you see here, this is the spot where lots and lots of pelican would just show up out of nowhere at exactly the right time for the feeding. And people started to gather to see this. And more people, they gather, it sort of became like a local tourist attraction. So the more number of people started showing up, at some stage the council decided that this was a major tourist location, and they started investing in developing this place. It's a gradual change. I've been coming here for over 15 years. I think the oldest photograph I've got here was about 15 years ago. And things have changed since then. So there's a permanent Ferris wheel up this way, and then the water park-like features they've made. And, kids' play area, and there's a merry-go-round over there, and lots of shops that make this place a more, touristy sort of destination, so to speak, right? However, COVID has taken its toll. when the restrictions began, they couldn't allow that many people to gather in one place so close to each other. So the feeding has not been happening, as far as I know, for a while now. But the place itself has its own draw. So people keep coming here, and why not? For good reasons too. This place is very charming. It has its own, as I mentioned, the beauty of its place. And apart from pelican feeding, there are other activities you can do. You can grab yourself a canoe and, do canoeing over here, or you could go to the big beach over there, or snorkeling and all that sort of stuff, other than the pelican feeding. But the one thing that was unique in its own way that we could not find anywhere else was that 3 o'clock pelican feeding thing. It was unique. And on top of that, the people who fed these birds, they would see them every day and they named them like, Roger, Harry, or Charles, or something like that, right? And it became a conservation activity as well. So people started donating money for this activity, and a lot of the birds would come in with fish hooks and nets tangled on their feather and things like that, or injuries. So people who are feeding them would also look out for help that the bird would need, and they would provide them. And all this out of volunteering or people's donation and things of that nature. I don't know what's happening at this point in time, how the birds are getting the help they need, and whether if they start the feeding process again, if the birds would return the same way they used to. They've been doing that for the last 15 years, and then this 1 year break, I don't know how things have changed for them. That remains to be seen. But regardless, this is a very visitable place. And oh, by the way, the seafood shop that started this, I believe, right? This is not a verified fact. It's my opinion that it's probably over there the Jumbo's Quality Seafood place. It's just like any other seafood shop, nothing out of the ordinary, I wouldn't imagine. But then again, I don't know much about food anyway. And of course, no beachside place would be complete without a ice cream shop, which I believe we have 2 or so. Oh, that one is a frozen yogurt shop. All right. I suppose it still counts. But some of the other things are that there are hotels behind me now where you can book a room overlooking the ocean like that, which in itself is, quite nice. And as I was saying, these Norfolk pine trees, one behind me, this is probably, I would imagine, at least 30 years old, or maybe more, 40 maybe. Beautiful trees these are. And they have made the seating arrangement underneath it, which is the perfectly good thing to do under such big trees. And they have paved the area. This didn't used to be like this before. So a lot of it is new, some of the things are old, but overall I think now it's much different to my earliest memory. Back then it used to be a little bit quieter. So the street I'm currently walking on is called Marine Parade, and on the other side is the street I was talking about with the various shopping places and things like that, and they got some water features there as well. There is a little memorial here for the fallen. So if you're visiting Sydney, I would recommend taking that drive. Of course, driving through a freeway is not the kind of thing someone would recommend. In this case, there is a bit of exception because the drive through that freeway from Sydney to Gosford is a beautiful one. So Entrance is a place that has become famous for pelican feeding. And that's what I was saying. You can rather Google pelican feeding and you will be guided right back to that pavilion where I was moments ago. And do check on their website when the pelican feeding begins again, because that is one of the things that you can add to your bucket list. It is something to see. It's different. And when that is over, this place is not a one-hit wonder. There are more to see, more to do. You can make a day out of this place. Today, a Sunday, and a beautiful day to be visiting here. So that's it for today. In Property Technical, we normally talk about properties and technical things. Here, this episode was more to do with things of natural beauty. And we can rightfully admire it for what it is. Well, I will see you next time in Property Technical, either talking about properties and technical things, or tune in for the next episode of Location. Until then, you take care of yourself.